That was because that was the duration of my colleagues, the one who I record with, his drive from his apartment to his lab.
That's science for you, right?
Yeah. Now we do it for an hour because we found that there's always enough to talk about. And we were having to artificially cut it short, and we said, let's just keep talking and keep an eye on the watch. And about 52 minutes in, we say, okay. What we do is we get before the show, we use Delicious a lot, capture all the things, links that we want to talk to, or have other people send suggestions to us. Before the show, we use Etherpad, which hopefully, or when Google has it, we'll use something else. Make a list of the things we want to talk to, send each other stories. Before we start, we spend about 10 minutes making sure which stories we want to talk about. And are we going to fight about it, or are we going to agree? We tend to try and choose stories that we're going to disagree on.
And makes more interesting.
Then we start talking. I have found that definitely, if I had, because our show is very unpredictable and we are already on different courses, I would love to do more interviews, because that was great. It was fun. It was, but it was not convenient because the person we interviewed was in Lisbon, my colleagues in Cambridge, Mass, and I'm in Seattle. The timing was interesting. That can be a challenge. But there's shows like This Week in Virology where they talk hardcore about virology for a while, and it's a fabulous podcast.
Yeah, Vincent's awesome.
Yeah. Hari's a virus crystallographer, so.
And Vincent Raffaello is This Week in Virology. If you're interested in viruses.
And I think he got. Yeah. So because of the whole H1N1 thing, that I think Vincent got, he ended up getting on CNN. So.
Yeah.
This Week in Prion.
The stuff out there you gotta look at.
So I'll be in grad school with this week in visual proteins.
I think though, like, you have to think about what you're doing, because if you're doing an interview, you don't want to make it 5 minutes. But if you're just giving a quick and dirty tip like Grammar Girl does, you don't want to extend that out. People are going to be totally bored. It only works with a short format. So your content and your audience really determine the length of what you're going to be doing. I mean, you can rant. You can get on a subject and just rant and monologue for as long as you want, but that's not necessarily going to be the best thing to do.
Yeah, I also think if you're reporting news, like you're saying, here are the top 5 stories of the week, that also should be short. It's when you get into commentary that you need to, otherwise you're just artificially cutting it short. And the kind of people who tend to listen to that are the people who are listening to it during a drive or on a train or something. So that can be a long way.
Yeah.
I guess what we did was maybe 25 minutes. This is for books. We'd have the interviewer who didn't know anything, and me who's supposed to know it all. I'm sitting there with a book trying to flip this stuff up. But it was 25 minutes long, I think, and because that's what it was, minus commercials, I believe. And that seemed to be about right, but it's the only piece of information I've got.
Yeah, I mean, it totally depends on who's listening and why listening. I listen to podcasts while I'm during my 45-minute drive, so they can, things like Buzz Out Loud, which is I listen to it every day, and it's about 45 minutes long. Perfect.
Yeah, podcasts compete with audiobooks on my own drive.
Yeah, put up this podcast on the radio station.
Awesome like that. You're thinking?
And
the only limit I think I ever heard was Leo. I think it was that some people actually still burn this stuff to CDs and listen to it, so we try to keep it around 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, but his podcasts are longer than most.
So that was the only hard limit that I've heard.
And that's an interesting technology-based limit, which I think is really.
I think video is an interesting one because audio is all background, right? Yeah. But video you have to listen to. I think video by and large are limited to 30 minutes. I think, although that people prove it wrong, right? People listen to Cranky Geeks, which is like 40 minutes, and watch it. And I think that's also going to evolve. But in general,
I listen to video podcasts.
Video podcasts, I mean, especially now that we've got the Boxy Box and the Roku Box and people's media centers for their computer, as we find more internet interfaces with television, we're going to see much more online podcast content become your television content. Or you put it like what I've started doing recently is I put the Twit network. They've got I put the Twit network on in the background on my television, and I run around the house doing whatever, and it's just kind of playing in the background. Or I put whatever podcast I want, because I've got a media center computer. I put that on, play it through the iTunes interface over my television. And so I think there's going to be the way people consume media and what they're consuming is just going to become very individualized, and you're going to find a lot more people getting what they want where they want it.
5-minute podcast 1 week and 30 minutes the
Yeah, and I think though, if you're going to, I mean, you shouldn't vary the length of your podcast. So if whatever your podcast is, you should try and make it generally about the same time. If you're going like a 20-minute podcast and then a 5-minute podcast, people are going to be like, what just happened to my podcast? You know, I was expecting to get to listen to something for a half an hour, and now I'm stuck.
Or conversely, they listen to the first time, this guy's going on longer than I am.
Yeah, but you can always shut it off, right?
I think that with video, that there's an expectation that you're going to be a little bit more entertaining visually.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is not going to be there for an audio, so that it's not just. Da, 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 da. I mean, Charlie Rose can get away with that, and Larry King, but not really anybody else.
Yeah. However, I mean,
Not
we
in
keep
a
coming.
longer format.
Yeah, but I mean, we keep coming back to Leo Laporte and what he's doing, but he's
He's not
really
good looking.
he's one of the only successful. I mean, he's really successful. His company made $3 million last year, and he's podcasting. And basically, what he's doing, he's a radio guy, and what he did is he created a radio studio with video cameras, and they have talk show. It's a talk show format. Programming, and basically people sit around a table, he Skypes people in, or on a ball, he sits on a ball, and they talk for an hour and a half, and you know, because it's based kind of on radio, there's some visual stuff that he's starting to bring in and we're doing more often because the video format allows it, but it's not based in video, so it's the kind of thing you can put on in the background.
It's mostly, it's basically a series of fireside chats. We could think like that. And I think the reason it works as a network is that each one is different. You'll have one on Mac, one on Windows, one on security, 3 different audiences. So it's not the same people listening to it all the time, although I'm sure there are. I'm also a few nuts.
And
Plus the quality.
He's polished.
Yeah,
he's
the
an old
quality
radio
is
guy.
exceptional. I mean, that's a different thing. I mean, reaching his level of quality is not
Leo
something.
Laporte?
None of us are going to reach it because he's got 3 T1 lines or whatnot. My dream studio. But yeah, I think the take-home message is it's so easy to get content out right now. I think the key part is being consistent. If you're doing a show, because that's my problem too, is being consistent and doing it regularly. It's true for blogging also actually. So if you want to do that, I think if you have any kind of audience, there's some expectation of, hey, every Tuesday, this thing is going to drop. And it's not just recording it every week; it's pushing it out the same day every week.
Yeah.
At the same time every
Close
week.
to the same time every day.
or
Every week.
close.
So
Yeah.
being mysterious about when you broadcast is not a good thing.
Only if you're
Not a good
only if you're
thing.
Jonathan Eisen.
But you know, you say stuff like that, and I bet if people are coming to see things that it's true, but I actually find I use Juice,
Mhm.
you know, and I don't care. I mean, I just only transfer stuff to my MP3 player when I need to. You know, when I finish up everything that's in there, I just go and grab everything that, you know, and then I move it all over. So I really don't care if there were 3 in one day and nothing for a week after, because, you know, I'm all...
Regardless, you're still
Yeah, because I'm listening to
you're
them.
consuming the content.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
And-
why I
Yeah.
was asking about the search systems, because
Right.
I'm just going to program my thing to download whenever I plug it in, and it
Right.
doesn't matter to
But
me
it's
when
like
they
if
come
you're watching
out.
a show or not, right? I mean, there's to some extent, yeah, because it's like equivalent of TiVo, right? If it's like TED
Yeah,
videos,
yeah.
TED videos I don't subscribe to. I just find the ones that I like and I download them. But like Buzz Out Loud, I listen to it every day at the same time. I expect it to be there.
Well, right, so if it's not there, then that'll be,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it
Yeah.
varies.
You get used to a certain thing, and there definitely is. There's lots of evidence of, you know, even though you as an individual might not care when something comes out, the larger sample size does care, and
Yeah.
so it is. If you are not consistent, you will not grow an audience as quickly or even at all. Versus if you are consistent and reliable, your audience will grow much more rapidly.
Yeah, I think once you have an audience,
Yeah. Once you have an audience, yeah.
Is it better to have a fewer high quality podcasts than regular every week lower quality?
It depends on who you're trying to reach and what you're trying to do. I mean, if you're going to go for high quality, don't say that you're going to do it every week. Make sure that you have the time to do it with that quality sustainably. You know, you don't want to tie yourself into something and not be able to meet your expectations or your audience's expectations. But that said, you know, if you have something to say and people who are out there who want to hear it, get it out there because you can. You know. It's all what I mean, really, it's what you want to do with it and how you want to be perceived and who you want to reach. Who's your audience?